आपके साथ जो मैं आज शेयर करना चाह रही हूँ वो एक I'm a conservation architect by training and with about 20 years of work in heritage preservation. But the thing that I've thought was relevant here was that there's a journey of heritage conservation and development in this in our country, and what you're setting out to do here truly is landmark, because I haven't witnessed this in 20 years of work. So what I'm going to do today is just walk you through जो इतने सालों से इंडिया में हेरिटेज कंजर्वेशन हो रही है और जो हमारे पिछले 25 साल से जो हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं. इनफैक्ट बेग साहब ने काफ़ी मेरे लिए आसान कर दिया, क्योंकि उन्होंने भी उन्हीं इश्यूज़ के बारे में बात की है. That INTAC truly was the first organization outside the engineering domain, because पहले जो भी काम conservation का हुआ है वो Archaeological Survey of India ने किया था और करते हैं with nationally protected monuments, and primarily it is the domain of engineers and archaeologists. INTAC जो 1984 में सेटअप हुआ, उसी के बेसिस उन्होंने एक प्रोग्राम शुरू किया जिससे काफ़ी आर्किटेक्ट्स, कंजर्वेशन आर्किटेक्ट्स बने, और कंजर्वेशन एक मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी काम बन गया है, जिसमें लैंडस्केप आर्किटेक्ट्स, आर्ट कंजर्वेटर्स, मटेरियल साइंटिस्ट, ये सब लोग इकट्ठे काम करते हैं कंजर्वेशन के लिए. जो चीज़ हमने पिछले 10-15 साल से देखी है कि टूरिज़्म डिपार्टमेंट, खासकर गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, उन्होंने काफ़ी फंडिंग प्रोवाइड की है स्टेट्स को, और हेरिटेज को काफ़ी सेंट्रल रखा है कि हेरिटेज को आप कंजर्व करिए, अपग्रेड करें, आप उसमें विजिटर अमेनिटीज़ दीजिए, सो दैट व्हेन योर विजिटर्स कम, आपकी कैरिंग कैपेसिटी, आपकी वो मतलब जिस एरिया में लोग जाते हैं वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा टाइम उस पर्टिकुलर शहर में स्पेंड कर सकें, जिससे इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट पॉसिबिलिटीज़ होती है. Subsequently, recently, Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India ने urban development और heritage को integrate करने की कोशिश की है. तो ये जो smart city के programs हैं, या हृदय जो इन्होंने कोई 12 cities के बारे में शुरू किया था कुछ 1.5 साल पहले, जिसमें 12 cities across the country were identified to be heritage-based development in those cities. Now, आपको मैं अमृतसर शहर दिखाऊंगी जहाँ पे मैंने काफ़ी काम किया, बट लाइक बेग साहब said, I'm going to borrow his word that it's really been like a laboratory, because we're learning on the job, and government के साथ काम करना मुश्किल भी है, और but it's interesting as well. It's a big learning thing, because what you're seeing really is on one side आपके पास अपना हेरिटेज है, आपके पास कुछ ट्रेनिंग, कुछ अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, कम्युनिटीज़ इनहेबिट करती हैं इन स्पेसेस को, पर कुछ भी काम करने के लिए आपको कुछ लीगल टूल्स की भी ज़रूरत है, कुछ आपको फंडिंग की भी ज़रूरत है, और उसी के साथ आप आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. द क्वेश्चंस दैट हैव बीन कमिंग अप सिंस द मॉर्निंग इज़ अबाउट अ सिस्टम. वी आर सेइंग हमें करना कुछ है, पर हम ये देखना चाह रहे हैं कि जो हमारे पास लॉज हैं वो 100 साल पुराने लॉज हैं. 1904 में जो फर्स्ट एक्ट बना था आर्कियोलॉजी का, उसका एक ही वर्ड बदल के आर्कियोलॉजिकल एंशिएंट मॉन्यूमेंट्स, आर्कियोलॉजिकल साइट्स एंड रिमेन्स एक्ट हुआ था, जो 2010 में उन्होंने कुछ बफर जोन डाल दिया था, 100 मीटर प्रोहिबिटेड जोन, 200 मीटर रेगुलेटेड जोन, पर लॉ वो ही है. तो आप करना कुछ और चाहते हैं, पर आपके इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स वही पुराने 100 साल पुराने हैं, और क्योंकि वो इंस्ट्रूमेंट 100 साल पुराने, आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के स्ट्रक्चर्स वो हैं कि उसी में इंजीनियर है, उसमें आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट है, और आप करना कुछ और करना चाहते हैं. तो फर्स्ट, बिकॉज वी गॉट पॉलिसी मेकर्स हियर, दैट अनलेस योर टूल्स आर राइट, you're not going to be able to achieve on the ground जो आप करना चाहेंगे. तो we'll just go over the presentation very quickly. So ये 4 buildings हैं जिनके बारे में बात करूँगी, if the time permits. The first one in Amritsar, of course, the most important thing is the Golden Temple. The second one is there's a fort which the government of India, the army handed over to the civilian government about 10 years ago, 7-8 years ago. Rambagh Garden is a summer palace protected by ASI with its own challenges, and there's a gate, which is an unprotected monument. Next. So what you see here is the walled city of Amritsar, and right in the center, is there a pointer here? Yes, right in the center is the Golden Temple. This is what the city looks like. This is an 1870 map. Chaliye aage carry on. So first thing we do, like we would do, like what INTAC would have done in Srinagar, is you understand the layered history, because before you start conserving and understanding कि आपने करना है क्या उस शहर में, it becomes very important कि आप both intangible और tangible heritage को मैप करिए. सिर्फ ये नहीं कि buildings कौन सी हैं, पर आपको cultural mapping इस तरीके से करनी पड़ती है कि जैसे यहाँ पर it's such a wonderful resource you have is that आपके downtown areas में इतने vibrant crafts हैं, और ये ट्रेडिशंस अलाइव हैं. पंजाब में तो अमृतसर में तो 4 मेटल वर्कर्स मिलते हैं इन द वॉल सिटी, और यहाँ पे वो कहते हैं 1500 लोग हैं. तो इट्स अ वेरी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग दैट आपकी ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज इज स्टिल वेरी मच देयर. In fact, it's quite interesting to know that when the Guru Ramdas actually established the city, he brought in the 52 craft guilds into the city. And अब हम जब प्लानिंग करते हैं हम इनके बारे में सोचते भी नहीं हैं. तो अगर आप एक सिटी की कंजर्वेशन करना चाहते हैं, अगर आप इन बातों को समझ ही नहीं रहे हैं कि शहर का एक्चुअली सीड आइडिया क्या था, और आप ऊपर ऊपर की फिजिकल फिक्सिंग करने लग जाएं, तो आप काफ़ी कुछ उसको लूज़ कर जाते हैं. अमृतसर इज़ ऑफ कोर्स लाइक, I mean, I would say Kashmir, you've got some very, very horrific history milestones, like for instance 1947 जब partition हुआ 50% population ही बदल गई. तो जब आप किसी city का fabric को टूटते हुए देखते हैं, तो आप सोच सकते हैं कि अगर आप वहाँ के लोगों से बात कर रहे हैं कि आपका heritage क्या है, तो वो किसी लाहौर की बात करते हैं, पेशावर की बात करते हैं, because they're largely people who've come from outside. So when you have to understand why buildings are decaying, it's not just ignorance, it's also because of some innate problems in the system which you need to understand, that what is this social thing. Punjab has experienced things like Amritsar has experienced Operation Blue Star in 1984. We know about, and from 2000 onwards, we started moving towards heritage conservation, tourism development, so on, and Amritsar has seen a lot of interventions. Chaliye aage. So basically, when we do research, we look at all the historical records, try to understand the layers. Carry on. We try to understand the city in the context of a larger region. How did the city get its particular cultural ethos? You know, we are looking at twin cities of Lahore and Amritsar here. So just to understand that what gives Amritsar its character. Next. We understand that यहाँ पे Shah Hamadan, that area is I would say the core of the city, really. And to understand the culture of the place, we have to understand the ethos of Sikhism, because it is the center of the faith. And it's quite interesting to see that जो work culture आप हरमंदिर साहब के अंदर देखते हैं, सेवा, cleanliness and all that, it doesn't translate into the city character. Now, we need to understand with a multidisciplinary team that how come कि अगर शहर में जैसे वो एक सेक्रेट साइट में जाते हैं, लोगों का एक तरीका होता है काम करने का, और जैसे बाहर निकलते हैं, they become different characters altogether. What is the reason? And therefore, I'm sure there is a learning there, that how we can instill that particular work ethic. Next. Carry on. It's important to understand that why Amritsar or Punjab as such is a melting point of a lot of cultural traditions, and it comes with the founding guru. And I was quite amazed to see that आपके भी जो यहाँ पे artisan आए हैं, they were, the first time I came, I was told it is Shah Hamdan who brought in the artisans from different parts, from Central Asia. And I saw a similarity with Guru Ramdas in Amritsar for that. Carry on. And the fact that Guru Nanak traveled all over the country, including going to Makkah, Medina, and to Kailash, Mansarovar, he kind of traveled all over the country. So we cannot say that we are so separate, because surely the faith captures the essence of a lot of other traditions. Carry on. Yeah, this is about Puri, because you find a composition that he wrote in Puri, in Orissa. Carry on. This is how the building looks, right in the center of a pool. And even to understand the architecture, उस architecture में भी आपको faith के काफ़ी important philosophical fundamental principles you see the way the building has been built. There's not enough time to go over all those elements. सबसे पहले हमने 2000 में एक प्रोजेक्ट ये शुरू किया था कि हरमंदिर साहब को हमने वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज बनाना है. और वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज यूनेस्को का हमने इसलिए सोचा था बिकॉज यहाँ पर कंजर्वेशन की कोई सेंसिटिविटी नहीं थी. गोल्ड शीट सब चेंज हो गई थी. कोई यूके से कोई लोग आए थे, उन्होंने बड़ा अपनी तरफ से तो सेवा कर रहे थे, पर सारे 19th सेंचुरी के गोल्ड शीट्स उतार के नई शीट्स लग रही थी. वॉल पेंटिंग्स को वो फिर से करने लगे थे. सो वी रियलाइज दैट द ओनली वे टू प्रोटेक्ट दिस वुड बी कि इसको आप दरबार साहब को वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज नॉमिनेशन में वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज इंस्क्राइब करवाएं, जिससे कुछ हेरिटेज का अंडरस्टैंडिंग शुरू हो. And it was quite interesting that what I thought was at that point a failure, because it went all the way up to UNESCO, to Paris, it got accepted, it was going to get inscribed, and then the site managers decided to withdraw the nomination. And interestingly, the whole exercise was funded by the SGPC, but they withdrew it. And I find that as quite a learning curve for myself, because we prepared the nomination dossier. Arijit was part of the team, so was Professor Sabyasachi. because their understanding was that अगर ये यूनेस्को में चला जाता है तो हमारे faith में जिसमें हमारा एक important fundamental है that the site will be looked after by the community, we'll have an external interference. And they said we do not need a stamp from any platform that we are our faith is very important. It has universal values. We know that we are, our faith offers us that understanding. We don't need an external endorsement. But one thing that they learned in the whole process of that 1.5 years was that they must conserve the fabric. And you'll be surprised to know that subsequently conservation plans were made, wall paintings have been restored, the kind of building activity that was done inside the complex responding to the needs of the site are kind of more sensitive than they would have otherwise been. So what I'm saying is that whole process was a learning curve. So a professional cannot determine that this is a failure, because this is something which a particular professor, Professor Oberoi, said to me. He said, a site has been there for 500 years, you're going to work there for 3 years. Don't gauge your success or failure by your professional lifespan. So we are here as professionals, we're going to engage with a particular cultural site. तो ये नहीं है कि हमने ये सोचा तो ये करना ज़रूरी है, ऐसे ही होना है. We're going to see whether the fundamental principles have not been compromised. So carry on. Actually, this presentation I made in United States in University of Michigan a week ago. So I thought and the title was Endangered Heritage, so I thought this was the best to present the same one here. Carry on. So basically, understanding the morphology of the city, how the city grew, and these illustrations are done by Arijit only, because we did not have historical references at how the city grew. So we looked at different layers at how it started with the pond, which was kind of an organic space with trees on it, and then how from the 16th century onwards, how the city grew. So fundamentally, how the city grew from just water tanks to the urban form in the 19th century to a very definitive walled city in the first half of the 19th century and subsequently later. And how the site gets a very distinctive edge. Mansions they are called bungas, which were built in the 19th century. First half of the 19th century, they formed the last line of defense to protect Harmandir Sahib, because there were a lot of invading armies coming from, from Central Asia, from Afghanistan, and so on, and which again so the site has evolved, but the principles of the site have not been compromised. That's what I'd like to believe. So what I'm trying to say is that when transformation happens, if you understand what the basic principles are, and the fact that the community engagement is not a rupee of the government or from any authority that comes into the site. Everything that happens within the site is through community engagement, the form, the architecture, the maintenance, and so on. So it kind of continues that tradition. Yeah, carry on. Of course, this is the overwhelming engagement of people with the site, and it's all in the work ethic of the gurus and downwards. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that when we are really looking at any particular heritage site, we've got to go beyond the fabric, we've got to look at all the intangible aspects, look how the community engages, and we have to find the fundamental principles that we want to work with when we develop a conservation plan. Carry on. This is a very important map which actually shows the mapping of important sites related to martyrdom. Carry on. This is a very important finding that we had, which is that the whole city, the temple is very beautifully embellished, but right in the center is a blank piece of stone. And that has that on top of that is a Guru Granth Sahib that is kept. So it's interesting that the worldly pleasures and the worldly whatever attributes on the periphery, but right in the center is the idea of the faith. Carry on. That's mapping soundscape. So when we are actually looking at traffic management or planning around it, this soundscape is critical to protect as far as the Golden Temple is concerned. So any kind of traffic management strategies that need to be done need to respond to the protection of the soundscape as well. Carry on. The 19th century city. And how the city must have been, because it does explain, like what Arijit has demonstrated. This is a 19th century painting which shows the Golden Temple, the mosque, the works happening, the bazaar, and how the cities actually look like, how Amritsar would have been. And that's how it looks like today. And now, talking about contemporary projects, this is one particular project. Now, our work in 2000 actually demonstrated gave ideas on how urban planning should be done around Harmandir Sahib, the fact that we need to make it a non-motorized zone. But government had its own ideas. Recently, they've made some sort of a pedestrian plaza where, of course, it is a beautification project. So what it actually has done is it's a lot of government money that's gone into facade, not conservation, but repair and upgradation, but it's only skin deep. It is actually not taken into consideration who lives here, what do they do, and is it financially sustainable even. So when you see that one particular street for about 200 meters, which has been beautified, the rest of the city looks equally, is in the original state. So it actually creates a lot of resentment among people कि इनका हो गया हमारा नहीं हुआ, या जिनका हुआ है they're saying that यहाँ से इतने लोग जो काम करते थे उनको relocate नहीं किया तरीके से, so they've been disconnected from their livelihood, whatever things. So doing a very, very heavy-handed beautification project has has a lot of challenges. The good thing that it has actually done is that it makes people walk for 300 meters before they go to the Darbar Sahib. And because they walk for 300 meters, I have personally noticed that Harmandir Sahib has become quieter inside, because somewhere in the last 5-7 years it had become very noisy because the footfall has increased. But because people walk to the sacred site, they kind of calm down. And by the time they go inside, they're silenter human beings, So it actually contributes very, very meaningfully. So making areas, especially places where sacred sites are, it'll be useful to consider non-motorized zones, maybe semi-motorized, but it's a very, very important area to consider. Next. The Rambagh Garden is a case that I wanted to demonstrate, is that when the British took over Punjab, they actually fractured a very important summer palace garden, like something like the Shalimar Bagh that Beg Sahib was talking about, and they put in this circular road, they put 3 clubs inside, and put the Deputy Commissioner's office here, put the Civil Defence office here. So what they actually did was obliterated the entire memory of the Maharaja of Punjab from people's mind. And it's called Company Bagh, and everybody calls it Company Bagh, not realizing that that Company Bagh actually means the East India Company. So something which was a Ram Bagh became Company Bagh. So ASI went and protected this in 2004. And we've been actually working very hard because the site is managed by, is owned by the local government, and it's protected under a national law, and the two parties do not talk to each other. And that is which is what we as professionals are trying to do, but we also get kind of branded in a particular way. But this is a problem which we're going to face, like, I would say that Kashmir has a very, very progressive act by way of your 2010 Conservation Act. And I think at nowhere else in the country you have a tool like that, where you can notify a building, do a conservation plan and a site, and have a reuse plan, and it has a statutory protection, and get all the stakeholders to talk to each other. Amritsar is failing to a large extent, but we are still trying to achieve it. Carry on. So this is what the site buildings look like, and we got funding from the Ministry of Tourism here. Carry on. In 2005-2006 to reclaim some of the, this is what the structure looked like, and we were trying to get the site back to what it should be. And we were successful to some extent. Carry on. The garden had these municipal corporation made channels and all that. We removed that, and we went down about 60 centimeters, and we came across this 5-meter wide water channel from the Sikh period. So we've been able to kind of restore some bit of the spirit of the garden. So we did a lot of archaeology to be able to find some remnants of the original part and to be able to reconstruct the space. So even if a site it looks as if it's been lost, I would say today's, what we really need to do is work very scientifically and also be able to recover these places if they're important for a community. So all these geometry studies that we did, and carry on. I don't think it should surprise you that this Khatambandi ceiling is something which you find in most Punjab Havelis of the 19th century, and including in the Summer Palace. They were painted over like that, and we had the art conservators to kind of restore the original, recover the original layers. And now we're trying to get some sort of an edge definition. We've done some bit of the Charbagh. The clubs sit there, and there's a public interest litigation to get the clubs out. But I hope the government supports it. But without government support, this is not going to be possible. Carry on. The Gobindgarh Fort, I'll close with this particular one. Carry on. This was a fort built to protect the city of Amritsar, more so the Golden Temple. and built by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And interestingly, in 2006, it was handed over by the Prime Minister to Government of Punjab, but I would say here, unfortunately, to the Department of Tourism. Because why I say unfortunately is because the moment tourism got their hands on the structure, now they wanted to make it into a theme park. And we thought, but one thing we tried very hard and we succeeded was to get it protected under the State Act. Now, I'm being critical of the tourism department here is because the tourism departments do not have the tools which sensitizes their entire structures to conservation for conservation's sake and then development accordingly. So I'll just quickly show you some pictures of what happened. We did a management plan, which ideally your 2010 Act allows. We did a conservation management plan, which we have no act which makes it into a statutory document, because of which restoration तक तो वो सब follow कर रहे थे, पर जब वो तैयार हो गया, बर्फी हो गई, खाने के लिए तैयार, तो फिर ये tourism department में किसी को पकड़ा दिया, और वो अब एक बॉलीवुड कंपनी वहाँ माया नगरी बना रही है. अब उनके साथ लड़ाई करने के लिए सिर्फ एक ही चीज़ है, क्योंकि ये स्टेट एक्ट से प्रोटेक्ट हो गया था. So I've sent them nasty letters, sent it to the Asian Development Bank that's funding the project, and so they have to reverse a lot of these interventions. So what I'm saying is people don't mean bad, but if your tools are not in place and your statutory provisions are not in place, everybody's not going to understand. So some people understand, some people need to work with the tools. So, these kind of horrific things they're doing, like there was a channel and they started building over it, putting these horrible concrete pavers, which I'm getting all of these reversed now. I'm sorry, I'm sounding a little aggressive here, but it was really, really, you work on something for 10 years and then finally what happens is people come and start painting things pink and red. You clearly don't want that. We had remnants of old paintings which actually told you what the walls should have looked like, but they went and painted them pink and now they're going to reverse it, whatever it costs. चलिए, fountains लगाए, ये सब निकालने लगे हैं अब ये लोग. ये सब कंक्रीट पेवर लगा रहे हैं. जब इन्होंने करिए आगे करें, ये तमाशा किया था जब इसको इनॉग्रेट किया था नवंबर में, based on which then we got some media coverage done that this is not what you want a Maharaja Ranjit Singh fort to tell a story. You were talking about laser shows. This is rubbish music that completely trivialized. The whole idea of the management plan was that this is the story of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He stands for certain values. There's a Sikh history there. There's a history of the military tradition, which actually that he's the one who, it was during the time of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, just an example, that he was ruling a particular kingdom which had only 25% Sikhs. And the way he put that, he was quite a secular king, very secular indeed, and what he contributed to India was the northwest frontier. He defined the northwest edge of the state. And the Khyber Pass was closed after 800 years under his general Hari Singh. Now there's a story to tell about the tradition. You don't really need laser shows and Bollywood dancing around, on a site like that. You can tell the same story of the people of this area, motivate them, tell the stories of whoever you want to tell so that the current city gets integrated, they kind of accept this as their heritage, but you can't do this to your sites. So I'll close on that. Thank you so much.